was 30.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wait, we need to take down the other one, or else people will be waiting on that one. Fudge.
Oh, okay. Do I end? Do I end?
Just wait until.
Sorry, give us 2 seconds.
No. Oh, fudge.
Live streaming. Oh my god.
Shit's all fucked up, dude.
Events. There's only one live now.
Okay. And then why is it resume on? I don't know. Either way,
know.
We're done.
They'll figure out which one is the right one.
We are here. We are live. We're doing it.
Hopefully everyone figures it out on... Oh, look, we got one viewer on YouTube. So someone figured it out.
I don't know. Special edition Thursday.
Yes. Because
July 6th.
You weren't sure about the date?
No, I'm not looking at my watch.
And because Tuesday was 4th of July. So we had to push it to Thursday.
And just all types of good stuff happening since then.
Yeah, it was great.
I was like, is your microphone on? It's
Why didn't you think it was on?
And hi, Aaron. We are doing well.
What?
I was answering Instagram. You're not even looking.
Oh, you said hi, what?
Aaron.
Oh.
Like a name.
It didn't sound like you said Aaron.
Oh.
Okay. Sorry. Let's actually get to life.
Let's actually do what we're supposed to do. Shout out to our new follower. What was that new follower that we got before? Was it like Satan took my virginity?
I lost my virginity to the devil.
Yep. There you go. So shout out to that person.
I don't know if they actually followed us or I just saw them on Instagram. So let's not say that. I don't know. But it was still a very interesting Instagram name.
2 for creativity.
Yes.
So today.
Well, first let's start positive. We're getting closer to day 70 for the eggs and when they're supposed to hatch.
Yeah. So the thing about corn snakes is when their first clutch hatches is going to be around where your female lays their second clutch or her second clutch.
Oh.
So usually like right about when your first clutch is hatching is when your female's going to double clutch.
Is that scientifically proven or just happens to happen?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Scientifically, it just happens.
Or what? That just...
I don't know what there's.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is there some?
Because for the most part, I think they just lay their eggs and peace out.
Hold on, I need to close this.
Yeah, way too much light in here. I think we gotta move it.
That didn't make it any better. Sorry.
But so they have that second clutch, and then our female, I saw that she was laying the second clutch, and went in there this morning to see how it went, and there was just like slugs kind of all around the tub.
Right, which is unusual. Almost every snake
lay them in a central location. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and then I picked her up and then she was prolapsed. So
explain what prolapsed is.
So basically the eggs were going through her oviducts and coming out, and she had a couple that were stuck in there and then basically pushed out her insides with the eggs.
Typically for the second clutch for corn snakes, is it usually the same amount or more or less?
Usually it's less.
Usually
eggs.
It's less eggs.
And I didn't like try to breed her. I did once, but it was too late probably. But I knew that they were going to be infertile.
So why do they lay a second clutch? Like, why lay a second clutch? I don't understand the biological, I guess, aspect of laying a second clutch, even though you didn't try to breed her.
I mean, the process was happening, whether or not she was, like her eggs were fertilized. I mean, no matter what, if I brumate and bring them up and do all the feeding, for the most part, they're going to go all the way through the cycle, whether or not.
They're going to have 2 clutches no matter what.
No, I mean, for a bigger female, usually double clutches for you. They'll double clutch almost every time.
Okay, even if you don't breed them.
Right. Gotcha. So Aaron asked, how long have we been breeding? And it's been
on and off.
Yeah, on and off, but for like 4 or 5 years now, maybe 4.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been keeping snakes for a long time, but just started breeding not too long ago.
And so with a corn snake, you've never had them prolapse before?
No, they're pretty bulletproof, but I mean, I guess it happens.
And what are causes in the past or other causes that snakes can prolapse?
For this one, I don't know. I mean, the obvious reason, but
is that the egg?
But I don't know if there's anything I could have done to prevent it.
Right.
So I'm not sure.
But for other snakes, what causes, or other times, what can cause prolapse?
Sometimes with ball pythons, it would be like keeping them too dry. They would prolapse.
How I don't understand it. But prolapse happens from like the inside and dries the outside.
I think it's just like passing. It's just body function. All body function is bad when you don't have proper conditions for the snake.
Okay, it just makes.
But I know just when you don't.
That doesn't make sense.
It's just when you don't have good conditions, bad things happen.
Okay,
I don't know.
I just don't see. I don't see the. I see bad conditions. I see prolapse. I just don't see the connection. I guess how it works.
I don't know.
Okay, so that's just the blanket usual thing for prolapsing is bad conditions.
No, I mean yes, and that's just an example I was using. And I'm not saying it happens all the time, but but definitely a part of it is that because we don't have proper heat and humidity, you may not have like breakdown of food properly, like harder, you're different stuff coming out than would usually happen if the natural process was given the right conditions to happen. So you may have something that pops it out there, or like males will maybe get their hemipenes and they'll stay out. They'll prolapse and they'll stay out.
It just didn't go back in correctly. Just a glitch.
Yeah. I mean something, but
something happened. So are females more likely to prolapse when they're
I mean usually
have eggs in them, I guess?
I don't know. It's just like asking. Yeah, they're pushing eggs out.
I mean, right. So that's what I'm saying. They're more likely.
But usually nature happens correctly. You know, it's not.
I'm thinking, does it just happen more when they have eggs in there or when they're not?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, when they're pushing giant items out of them, it happens more.
Right, but then your other.
But if it's like a green tree, sometimes I would. Like the prolapse I had was because I probably fed it too much or too often.
And so it had too much food.
Oh, it didn't digest food, properly with enough time in between feedings. So it would have.
Wait, you're gonna have to repeat that because Instagram died for a second.
It would be like too short a period between feedings for them to digest properly. So you would get, like a hard half digested mouse coming out of there, and that's why it prolapsed.
Ew.
Yeah.
They get the fact that they can still pass, that all through them and it's just not digested. So not to get too gross, the half-eaten mouse would be surrounded by the prolapsed part?
No, it would come out, but it would come out with it.
With it at the same time.
Yeah. So Primal Roots asked, what's the cause of the stuck shed? And that's just, not enough humidity. Could also be heat and stress. So if you maybe just handled the animal a crazy amount or something, I don't know.
What are your thoughts on like letting shed fall off on its own, or like
people are always like, don't get the shed off. But if I see a piece of shed stuck, that is just one little piece and it's off of like a normal snake.
I've seen though on Instagram, people like not forcefully pulling it, but like, like sliding the shed off of the snake. And I never knew if that was like,
I think that's them just trying to get a good Instagram post that has nothing to do with anything else.
But
it's not the best for the snake.
Yeah, does it hurt the snake to remove the shed like that?
I don't want to be an asshole and say it does, because it probably doesn't really, but you don't want to do it.
Why?
There's no reason to. It's like saying like, why don't you go do something else that you don't want to do? I don't know. You just don't.
That's not a good metaphor.
I don't know what the metaphor is, but you don't have to do it. So
it's just not necessary. There's no.
But if you have stuck eye caps on your snake, then take it off with tweezers.
What does that? You mean shed? Like
So like shed will get stuck, but just on the eyes. So they'll shed, and then usually, the ocular scale where the eye gets shed off with the skin. So, but sometimes if your humidity is not great,
okay,
or something's just a little off, then it will stay on their eye, and then it can build up and to the point.
So that's
where
obviously a
can't
bad
see.
thing.
Yeah, so you just take that off of the tweezers. So it's like, why can you do that and not do it for a little piece that's stuck on their back or something?
Right. But
if you have a snake that's like really dehydrated and doesn't have great humidity and they're stuck shed all over the place, then it's like, don't be picking it off one at a time.
Okay,
like,
that's not good.
Especially if the snake's skin is dry, like,
because you're like, it's like ripping our skin off of us.
It would just be like picking a scab or something. Like, just, you should know, like, you shouldn't have to forcefully take anything off. Like, it should come off decently
easily.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you soak them and then it may come off decently.
Okay.
Easily. But yeah, never like go too hardcore on it.
But is there a negative side to leaving, like obviously on the ocular shed, you wouldn't want to leave that. But if there's a piece on their back, like, is there a negative to that being left on there till it naturally comes off? Like, does it hurt them to have the shed
you could
stay on for longer?
Probably not, but it could also cause bad sheds in the future. But I don't know. I haven't had that come up like much at all.
You've had no problem with them shedding?
No, unless you're keeping like ball pythons or, some type of maybe retic or something like that that requires that humidity to shed properly. Ball pythons are just known for not having complete sheds. But if you keep them correctly, which is...
Pythons are known for everything bad.
Because they're just the most, there's just the most of them out there,
Ball pythons are known for picky feeders. I mean, just like, I feel like ball pythons are known.
They're also the least understood and most miskept snakes because they're the most popular.
But see, that seems contradictory to me. If they're the most popular, you'd think we'd understand the most about them.
Doesn't make people smarter. Doesn't mean people want to read a book, But
there's more of them.
But no, Josh asked if we do retic breeding.
Absolutely not.
No.
Too big.
Too big.
It's a simple question. Is they're too big?
Lewis on YouTube asked, with corn snakes, where should I buy them? Pet stores or breeders? Always go for breeders.
Always go for breeders.
Because pet stores, you're not going to know if they feed, or you're not going to know
how they're handled, or their lineage or anything like that.
You're going to want to get from a breeder to where it came to the point where this morning, as soon as I saw the prolapse, I wanted to make sure I didn't fuck it up. So I emailed Walter Smith, who's a corn snake breeder, because I know obviously he knows what to do a lot more than... The worst thing is going on a Facebook group and just being like, this happened. And then you'll get fucking Susie, who's 11 years old, telling you to do all wacky shits to your snake.
Well, it's just
what you
as bad
do...
as when you're sick, going on WebMD, and
then you're pregnant dead and have cancer and all this other shit.
Right. So with your snake, when it's sick, definitely consult experienced breeders.
You want the person who sold you that snake, you want to be able to ask them the question, and they'll be glad to help you much more than... Even if you go to a big breeder in this industry, say, like Triple L Reptile or Reptiles by Mac, when you call, they're not going to want to help you, or they won't know what animal you're referring to.
Because they sell so many.
It's just a matter of having too many. So you definitely want to get that breeder that's somewhere in the middle of the road where they know they've been doing it for a while, they know what they're doing.
But they're not too big. So if
anything happens, they'll be more willing to help you out.
Did you buy this snake from Walter Smith?
No.
Oh, okay.
I bought this snake from Ben Siegel before he started putting the bearded dragons in his mouth.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know. Man.
But you've had this snake for 5 years, and she's never caused you any issues, right?
Nope. Did you end up getting those beard? Oh, you got the Miller Lights.
That's what I said. So Nathan.
Yeah, it's a corn snake. I mean, nothing.
Corn snakes
nothing
never.
That's why it's I feel very unlucky for having shit go wrong
with a corn snake that may never have issues. Usually
never presented any problems.
So Nathan said, my snake shed, just put a wet towel over the aquarium and it comes very smoothly. Oh, so that's what he usually does. I guess
That
because
makes
that
sense.
increases the humidity.
If you're keeping them in like a glass aquarium, then I guess putting a wet towel, that makes sense to keep in humidity.
But you wouldn't want to do that if yours is in a rec system?
Well, that's just not possible. What he's doing is putting it on top so less air escapes so it doesn't dry out.
Right. And why can't you put it?
Because racks have tops with small airflow, with a lot less airflow than a screen top.
The normal. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha. So with prolapse, what is the normal course of action?
So the first course of action was, and it's different for different, there's different prolapses, but.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like I just explained.
But I thought it's the same. The same. It's still your insides coming out. I mean.
Yeah, but it could be hemipenes. But either way, your first action is going to be to soak the snake.
Okay.
So hopefully that may reduce some swelling or at least get some stuff that was in there, blockages or anything out.
What are you soaking it in? Like hot water, warm water, cold water?
Warm water.
Warm water. Okay.
And then doing that for maybe like, wow, was that a crack in my voice?
Yes.
I believe Walter said like 15 to 20 minutes. And then he said, if anything doesn't happen after that, then maybe she has like a twisted oviduct. So you may want to like just go to the vet and stuff like that. But
okay.
So soaking first. And then I know people, especially for like green trees, have done like put sugar paste on it.
What?
Because throughout osmosis, I guess it gets the swelling down and may allow it to return
go back
into the cloaca. Yeah.
Whoa.
But I mean, I haven't personally done that one, but a lot of people have. So
how did people even like find that idea?
I think they do it for more than just snakes. Like I think vets have been doing it for like dogs and everything.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's such a weird idea to come to.
Yeah, but it works. So Sio Simpson asks, have you any experience with dwarf locality boas? I want to get a Hog Island, but I'm afraid of mixed genes. So I don't have any experience with like locality boas like that, but I would, if you don't want to mess around with things that are mixed, then go to Vin Russo. I mean, he's known for having all the locality boas.
Okay.
I mean, he even helped name the longicata boa.
With those boas, is it a higher? Are the mixed genes? Are there more of them than other types of snakes?
I don't know. It's just like everything else. If something looks good together, then or if someone just has something laying around, they have an adult female Colombian, but they have a male Guyana, they don't think anything of mixing them together sometimes. Okay. So that's why when you get people Vin Russo is someone who's had them since they came in the country.
Gotcha. So where they're coming. Yeah. He's kept them and everything where they're coming from.
Pure. So, and then you'll people who don't mind breeding non-pure snakes, and then you'll have people who are very strict about keeping locality, just like carpet pythons, just like anything else. There's always a purist, and there's always people who experiment with wacky shit.
And there's
Hog Island is 100% one that people mix up a lot with Colombians and stuff like that.
Just because they happen to have both of them, or
because they're both just pretty prevalent in the hobby at this point. So people just don't have any, don't
have any restrictions.
Yep. I feel like we get asked that a lot, by the way. Do we have a specific morph of corn snake I think we said on our last show.
Yeah, but
palmetto and blood-sided pied red, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Palmettos are what we're going for now. And then what is the other one called? Blood. I always mix it up. Pied. It's too many words.
So blood red is one recessive gene, and then pied-sided is another recessive.
But
gene.
Why do we say pied-sided and not just pied?
Because in a lot of colubrids, they have something that's called white-sided.
Okay.
Which would be a mutation, which, I mean, that's pretty much what this is. But pied, which we haven't found in corn snakes yet. So the reason why, I think it's Don Soderbergh founded it, the reason why he called it pied-sided is because he didn't want to call it pied, and he didn't want to call it white-sided. because he said there may be a white-sided one that pops up, and there may be a pied one that call this one pied-sided.
It's different than the pied that's in like ball pythons and stuff.
White-sided is washed out all the sides and then color down the strip in the middle,
just on the top.
Yeah.
Okay,
so that's white-sided, and it's not variable. So pied is always variable,
right? Different.
So like the pied-sided, there'll be low expression, high expression, and then pied is obviously the losses of pigment,
random spots
and random blotches around the body, but all around, like.
Okay, so it's pied-sided because it's literally only on the sides.
Right, it's pied only on the sides, but it's not all white-sided, and it's not pied because it doesn't encroach over. So.
Pied-sided is random losses of color only on the side.
Right.
Okay, so
and it always stems from the bottom. It won't just happen like randomly. It always extends.
You can see it from the bottom coming
from the belly scales up. It doesn't like randomly pop up in the middle of the side or anything. It's always from the belly scales up.
It's interesting that they've that pied-sideds have come up, but no full-on pieds. You'd think if it can make it halfway, there would be some.
Well, there's one out there where it's all around
there, but pied corns. Why haven't we found them yet? Like, if you think it wouldn't be that far of a jump if they're.
Well, no, it has nothing to do with that. It would be two separate genes that do two separate.
One that makes it go on the side, and one that makes it around. Yeah. But you don't think they're closely. I mean, I don't know how genes work, but in my head, they're closely related.
Brother sister gene. I mean, there are allelic genes.
Alleles,
a whole different thing. But allelic genes happen in usually incomplete dominance. So pied and most of the genetics, for whatever reason, in corn snakes, besides like tessera, are going to be recessive. So so recessives can't have alleles because they can't make supers. They can only make visuals.
Oh, you're losing me. Okay. Well, so is there have other pied-sided corn snakes other than blood red been found?
What?
You're reading.
So yeah, well, they're two separate genetics.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You always see them together, but they're two separate genes.
Have you?
So yes.
So yes, there exists like something else pied-sided corn snake.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like the blood red is the only one I'm
not sure because I've seen aneries, but I'm not sure why people don't put them in other things. I'm not sure if there's some type of reasoning behind that. I'm not sure, honestly.
You've seen anery pied-sided corn snakes?
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't want to say because like you see it in blood red pretty much exclusively.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I've only really heard
it seems like there's probably a reason for that, but I don't know it.
Interesting. Okay. Nathan said, my corn that want to eat is doing well. He's been swapped to frozen thawed. Oh, good. That's good. Yes, frozen thawed is always better.
So that Sunglow that I got a little while ago, she's only been eating a Knowles, so she's been on frozen thawed and Knowles.
Expensive diet.
Yeah.
Which is weird because to me, Knowles aren't like a, I don't know, fancy food item,
and then
but they're not cheap.
There's got to be someone out there breeding a Knowles for food. But you're dealing with lizards who are only laying, like, even though they're very prolific at breeding, they're still only laying 2 eggs at a time.
Oh,
they're not turning over in 10 at a time or
so 12. It's just not it's not worth it to breed slower. It.
Yeah,
because you're just getting so little
because you just can't force that price down to where you want it to be.
So you think that's why at like PetSmart and stuff, Knowles are so expensive because they breed so slowly?
It's not like so slowly, but it's slowly enough to where it won't be priced in competition with a rat,
Right, that are all the time coming out.
Yeah.
Gotcha, that sucks.
Reptiles just much slower.
But they're to me so creatures. Low on I don't know. I guess on the
it doesn't matter
on the like life level. They're so low. Decimal Fiend said Triple L Reptiles is like any other breeder. They have specialties like underground reptiles. Their specialties are tegus, sink, and skinks, human skinks. Yeah. BHB is obviously snakes. Every breeder has specialty, but you're right. The smaller breeders are better, and most likely their specialties are what they breed.
Yeah, and even the big companies that do have specialties.
You Is Triple L bigger than BHB?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they the biggest?
Much more wholesale level. No, that's probably the Bells who do. I believe they do the PetSmarts. So Gourmet Rodent, which is going to be like a multi-million-dollar business. They do Petco's, and they do like the individually frozen like packages of food, as well as leopard geckos and some different. I think they do corn snakes and different wholesale animals.
Okay.
Yeah, all the wholesalers do corn snakes.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so they do Petco's, and then what was I talking about?
The Bells?
The Bells, which I don't know why I can't think of their name right now, but they do pretty much specifically to big box pet stores and pet stores, different pet stores. They don't do much to consumer.
So the bigger breeders are going to go to
they're going to be on a wholesale level. I mean, the only way to consistently make money is to have those low wholesale animals to where you can just get large numbers and
send them out a bunch at a time.
Yeah. And especially, I mean, most of the people who do, well, a large amount of the people that do this full time do corn snakes, just because there's always a market for them. People always want them, and they're easy to wholesale. So like, even I believe, like I was talking about Vin Russo, he specializes in boas and everything, but I believe he still wholesales corn snakes on a very high level.
Really?
Yeah, and like that's how he makes money to pay the bills, and then the boas I think are just like the cream on top,
just for fun.
Well, there's just money on top. Like that's where, even with ball python breeders, what you want to have is bumblebees, albinos, and pieds. Just breed those fucking things.
Because everyone will always want them.
Because you can sell 100 of those for $250, and then you create just a few of the expensive morphs that you may sell a couple of, but you can pay your bills with the bumblebees, the albinos, and the pieds, the animals that are $250 and under, because those are going to sell at your reptile show. They're going to sell to pet stores or whoever. Is
the demand for corn snakes not enough to just sell to consumers? Be very successful?
There's only so many people who want to buy high-end corn snakes. It's kind of seen in the hobby as like, that's like just your starter snake. For some reason, ball pythons are seen a lot cooler than corn snakes.
Because of the morphs that have been made.
Yeah, but even corn snakes have really cool morphs. But I think it's also the fact that it's a python. It's a little bit more cool, and it's not
meaty.
And it's like a little bit. It's fake bigger. Like,
what do you mean fake bigger?
It's not actually bigger. It's just fatter with a different shape.
Right,
head,
right. It seems meatier than the corn.
I think it just seems more cool looking, probably, to most people. But
so that's why the corn snake people have to sell to the store, because that's where the starter snakes.
That's where you can sell the most snakes.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can't,
because it's not a pyramid scheme like ball pythons are.
What do you mean?
Meaning, like, there's so many people in it just for money who are looking to buy high end, just as a investment to turn over.
And that's not in corn snakes.
Not really at that level.
Do you think it will get there?
Palmettos and stuff, but
and scaleless.
Yeah, which is like okay, but that's the most expensive morph, and you're looking at what, at the most $1,200 in comparison to where ball pythons, there's like,
what's the most expensive?
$1,200 is like mediocre for a ball python.
Whoa, what's the most expensive?
I don't know. I don't think the market's like that high anymore. Like there used to be, where there was always a few morphs that were $25,000 to $50,000.
$50,000 for an adult, or for an adult?
$50,000
or a baby?
No, for a baby.
What would an adult be?
They didn't exist because you would sell them immediately.
Well, no, I'm saying the adult most expensive ball python. Oh yeah, I guess they still wouldn't exist.
I don't know. You don't sell that. I don't know. Retired male breeders, but you'd bring them through.
So he said he used to love Triple L, but now they started to drift away and they started to do their wholesale. Yeah, you have issues with wholesale a little bit.
No, it's just a different business.
I feel like your value will go up in one way when you start wholesaling, but I feel like your value, or not value, but like respect. I don't know. I can't think of the right word, but it's like
just, the amount of attention you can
You can't be high in both, you know? Does that mean you can't be high in consumer selling or it's hard to be high in consumer selling and wholesale to stores. I feel like it's very hard to be very big in
Triple
both.
L does that.
They're able to do both.
Yeah, but also they're mostly buying from the small breeders and selling to consumer.
Okay.
So it's like they're not doing most of their breeding. So
really?
even BHB, you see all the videos of them getting in shipments of, snakes from smaller breeders.
So they're not doing all of their breeding themselves.
No. And Triple L is probably doing almost a small portion of it.
Really?
Yeah.
So they're just kind of flipping.
Yeah.
They're flipping them essentially. Wow.
But I mean, that needs to happen because there's too many small breeders who can't sell snakes because they don't market it at all. So they're just like, oh, it's much easier for me to give it to Triple L and for them to sell because Triple L has much more marketing behind it, has a bigger consumer base.
Get it out there.
They can sell it. Yeah. So they'll take half price for an animal just to move it because they're just trying to chase after, whatever morph they want to make or, their higher end projects. So that's why, I mean, the industry
they're still
needs
needed.
both.
Yeah, you need them, but they're just, I don't know.
You don't need them if you try hard enough.
If everyone tried,
but
everyone's not going to try.
Most people don't, which is good because there's a lot of people who don't care much about the money aspect or, they're just like, whatever. Like, I just want to make cooler snakes. So, but there's always byproduct to that. So when you're trying to hit, when you're breeding a fucking whatever to a whatever, then you're going to have things that come out pastel. You're going to have things that come out
just
spider
sell off.
that you're like, yeah, you can't really sell them much because
I understand that.
Or you're like, my profit margin, like I'm selling $60 snakes and shipping it out for $70.
Okay.
Because like shipping's so high right now.
Why is that? Does it fluctuate? Does shipping fluctuate, or
just like any other market?
I don't know how that works.
Amazon's always free with Prime, right?
Right.
No,
they need
snake. Fluctuates just with everything
snake
else.
Prime shipping. Get it for 2 days for free if you pay.
If you want to ship your snake in 2 days, you can try that, but we'll see how that works out for you.
What do you mean?
You need to overnight a snake.
Oh, sorry.
But they should fuel costs goes up
alone,
and down
right? But you could still have a system like that where you pay a certain amount a year, and then whoever you order from is free. Couldn't you? Because isn't there a company that everyone uses or a lot of people use to ship their snakes?
Yeah.
What is it called?
Ship Your Reptiles.
Ship Your Reptiles.
Or Reptiles to You or Reptile Express.
Oh, there's a couple.
There's a couple of them, yeah.
But you could have a thing where you pay them and then you can ship for free. Or buy for free. I think that's a smart idea. I'm gonna
free shipping. It's a terrible idea.
If you pay in the beginning of like Amazon Prime is set up, where you pay at the beginning, you pay a yearly price, and then your shipping for what you order is free. Does that make sense? Like Amazon Prime.
Yeah, no, not really.
Why?
It's just, are you buying that many snakes from one person?
No, as long as you go through the shipping company.
That seems like it's too small. It's different for Amazon because the expense can be spread out through thousands and thousands of people. When you're talking about a much smaller market, yeah, but I don't think anyone's willing to pay.
You wouldn't pay $100 at the beginning of the year, and then that's
a terrible number to start with.
That's what you pay for Amazon.
Cost. I don't care what you pay for Amazon. You're shipping fucking pencils instead of shipping live animals. One thing costs like $50 at least to ship,
right?
And one costs
$10, like nothing.
One costs like $3.99 to ship if you ship it regularly.
Okay, would you pay $300 at the beginning of the year?
I pay when I buy the animal. That's how much I would pay.
Well, let's answer people's questions because you disagree with my idea.
Yes.
He said he traded a wild chameleon caught to Rick the Reptile guy, and he gave a beardy with a full setup for it. Do you think that's a good trade?
I don't know.
You don't know? You don't know about that world?
Yeah, I don't want a wild chameleon.
What?
Rick the reptile guy does.
Is he a big person? Do you know who that is? I've never heard of him. Or maybe I've seen him on Instagram. I'm not sure. But is
Nick the Wrangler?
Yeah, that's what I thought at first. Oh, that's weird. When I first saw it, I thought he was talking about Nick the Wrangler, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't know how I feel about Nick the Wrangler." I feel like Nick the Wrangler may end up on TV being bit somewhere in the near future.
Yeah.
I mean, if you'd have a death wish, go for it. But that's not for everyone. I don't think a lot of people should be doing that.
Yeah, I don't think that's the best way to get your point across or market.
But what is his point even? That they're not scary because he hasn't died yet?
To get
Because I feel like that what he's trying to do is that snakes and reptiles out in the wild, oh, they're nothing to fear because I go and pick this up and take a picture and I'm okay.
We hold people to a high pedestal these days in comparison to what we used to.
Because they can still, they're not a safe thing. They're out in the wild. It's still dangerous.
No, I agree. But the crocodile hunter always free-handled venomous snakes.
True. And people gave him shit.
No, not really at all.
I mean, people still loved him, but they still gave him shit.
Pretty much the whole reptile community exists because of him. So
you don't think without him? Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, it would, but a lot less people would be into it. So there's been like a few jumps in like the reptile hobby. The first one being probably Jurassic Park, which is when
you think that brought people into it.
100%.
Really?
Like, so that's pretty much how green iguanas became a thing because everyone was into dinosaurs, and then you can get a green iguana that was like a mini dinosaur. So that's like what the market was built on back then.
That's hilarious.
The market blew up off of Jurassic Park.
But I feel like any snake or reptile movie that's come out since hasn't really done that for.
You're also talking about a culture that there's a lot of different inputs. So back then it was like a big movie would like take over the world.
It would have such influence.
Yeah, like Titanic or fucking whatever. Thank you, Nathan. We will see you next time.
Titanic is not the same. Did it?
No, but like, that one movie in the summer, everyone was like, whoa, and everyone saw it, and it affected like the culture. Like it became a cultural
whole craze
icon.
for it.
Yeah. Which I guess happened with like maybe Twilight. That might be the most recent one that happened. To where like everyone's coming out with fucking vampire stuff after it, right?
Get money. I mean, now it's all about money. But okay, so Jurassic Park, everyone was obsessed with dinosaurs.
And then dinosaurs like became a thing.
That's so weird to me. Like, I don't know. Like you said back then, they had more of a thing. To me, you just watch that movie and that's it. And it just didn't like.
But then like people start liking. I don't know. It just goes through culture.
So that produced a big jump in the reptile world.
And then like in the later 90s, it was like the crocodile hunter. And then when the crocodile hunt at the same time, there was like Jeff Corwin came out and he's a herpetologist. And then Austin Stevens.
What did Jeff Corwin? He just
did the same thing as.
Okay.
I don't know. I almost said fucking Stone Cold. But Steve Irwin.
What's
Steve Austin?
I don't know who that is.
It's a professional wrestler. It's really stupid.
Okay.
But
so Jeff Corwin was similar to Steve Irwin.
Yeah, he was on at the same time. He was just an American.
Okay.
He was,
but didn't get as big as
not
Steve
even
Irwin?
close. Yeah.
Do you think because he's an American?
But what I'm saying is, it started a place, when reptile shows were on TV and reptiles were in the spotlight more.
Yeah.
And then when he died, there hasn't really been much since then, but it's just been like a culture that's been kind of building just because the internet exists.
Do you think a Steve Irwin could come around today and get to the same acclaim that he did?
It would be hard because I feel like just like how we were talking about Jurassic Park, like culture is just way too involved to have like someone who's very, very famous like that.
Do you also think someone kind of like we were talking about Nick the Wrangler would be criticized way more than Steve Irwin was.
like we would probably kill it before it even goes
to the general public.
Yeah. So like, even if Venom Hunters comes out, people.
What is that?
It was a show on Discovery Channel with Brian in it and like a few other retards, and it was, I don't know, everyone hated it. But like at this point, I don't think anyone would be able to put anything on TV without the reptile community bullshitting about everything.
Just because you think, one, because there's just more people in the reptile community in general, or like,
and 3, everyone's a fucking hypocrite, and they're like, oh, you can't treat an animal like this, but I do it like this, and everyone's way too picky about things to where Steve Irwin would have been cast out if he came out today. 100%.
Wow.
100%. And like, that's why I think we self-inflict, the most damage across.
Well, of course, the people who are, the most into it are going to be the most protective over it,
Yeah, and then the people who get popular, once you get to a certain threshold, everyone turns on you.
Yeah, because they think you're not doing what's best for the community once you get to a certain point.
Right. So really, it's just like, and I think that happens in a lot of groups of things.
No, of
people
course.
Kind of like, sometimes the most famous person are the people like the community itself may not think deserves to be the most famous or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I think when you're in the middle ground, the hardcore people like you better.
Yeah.
I think
you just can't get too famous, and then people get jealous and all this other shit.
You're always going to piss off someone.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're never going to be everything to everyone, and when you're in such a microscope, it's impossible to be.
But sorry, I just thought of something because we talked about reptile people getting famous. I still think in some ways, on like the Today Show or like the late night shows, they have like reptile people or whatever come on every so often. And I don't know if I don't think that used to happen. I don't think that was a
that was started with like Steve Irwin, but it always seems to be some guys like, oh here comes an animal. And then it's like, yeah, Conan, put it on your head, and they do something wacky with the animal and shit.
That's how you get attention.
Oh, yeah, but it's always so gimmicky and some bullshit,
What should they go up there and do? Sit there and talk about hemipenes and just throw a bunch of scientific jargon at people?
No, I just think I just don't think it's going to happen unless it's someone who's very, very charismatic. There's really only one person that's anywhere close to what Steve Irwin was.
Who?
No, he's the, what I meant to say is like, he's the only Steve Irwin that exists. There's no one even close to like him.
Do you think Nick the whatever is trying to be Steve Irwin?
Because I don't think you can be, because that was his personality. You can't just change your personality.
It was more than just what he did. It was like who he was as a person.
And like he also comes from a family of people who have always been involved in conservation and own the zoo and stuff like that.
Like
his father was still doing it, Bob Irwin. He is like the foundation to what created Steve Irwin. It's not, he didn't just decide one day that he liked snakes and that's what he did. He like legitimately lived it from birth to death.
So then, that's part of the reason why it will never be recreated, because there's multiple factors as to why Steve Irwin became who he was.
Also, I don't think he like legitimately was out there, I think, to like forward conservation and
not
speak
just
for
to
animals
show
and stuff,
off.
not to be, there wasn't any type of social media to keep score on what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess you could do that still, but there's just too many avenues to where you're like, everyone just seems a little fake, because I think there's just too many people out there.
Well, it's also hard because now we're in a world, I think Steve Irwin wasn't doing it for other people. And I think we're in a world now where it's like, to get to even close to his level, you have to do it for other people in some way. It's very hard to become successful and not kind of do what the people want.
And there's also there's like some little kid on Musical.ly that we've never heard of, but 200 million people absolutely love them.
Him. Yeah.
So it's like there's just so many pockets of celebrity now that
right.
It would be hard. Like you have to be, unless you're like Justin Bieber who popped, I think, at the right time. Like it's hard to get all the eyes on you unless you're like,
because there's so many separations and different things.
Because right now, if you're that guy, you're probably going through YouTube or Instagram. You know, Steve Irwin, he had to go get a TV
one
deal
camera
and
man.
all this shit. Yeah, it's like now there's a million people doing it. How do you find the one person who? Before there used to be so many filters before you even got in front of anybody. Now everyone
can get in front of
anybody. So it's like very diluted.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know if there's someone who could break through. I mean,
maybe
I know there's
Bindi.
some people who think that probably Robert.
Or Robert's son.
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll probably do it. I mean, like, but only to a certain extent because it's just probably not as intense as
it's just
what
a different,
was.
right? Different when when Steve Irwin was out.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of back to our original subject in the beginning about prolapsing. So we talked about like what the steps to take. So soaking it, the paste. What do vets usually do when you bring them? I mean, obviously there's different prolapses, but what's usually the vet's course of action?
So when push comes to shove, like with the green tree, I tried to put the prolapse back in.
Would you ever recommend that to other people to try it themselves?
Not unless you're comfortable with what you're doing. I don't know.
Okay, that's
it would be hard for me to say to do it, but I mean, if you're careful, I mean, you can do it.
If you're careful, you can do anything.
Yeah, but then again, what happened is it kept on falling out. So in order to keep it in there, you need stitches to keep it from falling out repeatedly.
Okay, and that's when it's it's time to bring it to the vet. Because no one should ever try to stitch up their snake themselves.
No, yeah. So I mean, and that's really a last ditch scenario, but
is to stitch it up.
Yeah.
So there's no. I guess that doesn't seem like fixing the problem. That seems like putting a Band-Aid. Does that make sense?
It fixes the problem once everything heals up and the swelling goes down, then it won't pop out again.
So, okay. So a prolapse, like it's not like it will continue. You're not trying to figure out why it prolapsed. You're just trying to.
Well, you usually know why it prolapsed, and if you don't rectify the original situation. So for me, I'm never going to breed the female again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. So, I mean, that will probably be it for me breeding her.
Okay. Just because you don't ever want a chance that happening again. Okay.
Yeah. And then for like the green tree, then I just knew I went very small on the meals to make sure that it would never prolapse again. So I just wanted to make sure that for sure, she wouldn't prolapse again. So
is there any sort of medicine or any sort of, I don't know, you give for, there's nothing for that. You just simply stitch it up and you're on your way?
Stitch it up and then wait, a week or two to heal and then wait to feed.
That just seems, I don't know, that seems very like a simple fix. But so I guess prolapses really aren't that.
It kind of is, but.
So our prolapse is really not that big of a deal if all you do is stitch it up and you're good to go?
I mean, it's not like you have an infection. I mean, sometimes they'll give you antibiotics to keep it from being infected.
Okay. Is it easily, I'm sure it's easily infected. It's part of their inside.
When your insides come out. Yeah. I mean, but. Yeah.
But I mean, it's really just stitches.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like us cutting our knee or, I don't know. It just, when it happened, when I saw it.
It happens to humans.
What?
Yes.
We can prolapse?
Yes.
How?
I've seen it happen to like weightlifters or I believe pregnancy.
Ugh, everything bad can happen during pregnancy.
I mean.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, but I mean, it happens.
But I guess when I looked at it, it just seemed so intense and so bad. But if just stitches, it's like Okay, it's really not that bad.
And it's not stitching the actual thing.
No,
that
you're stitching the
happened.
outside
You're
to
stitching the
holding
outside
it,
to hold it in. Yeah.
and then the skin, heals back over.
It's really the swell. Like once it goes out, the swelling is what keeps it from going back in. Yeah.
Okay, but what if? So I'm assuming it came out through her cloaca, and you wouldn't want to stitch up the cloaca, would you?
Well, no, you stitch it on the sides just to make it tighter. But the thing, you're not going to feed them, so you don't want to have a, in and out.
Right. Nothing's coming in.
Nothing's coming in, and nothing's going out. Yeah.
Right. But they'll still pee, won't they?
Won't
they still pee?
Yeah, but nothing coming in, nothing coming out.
The pee's coming out.
Yeah, but they usually do that when they go to the bathroom, like when.
But won't they still pee even if you don't feed it?
They could, but they don't. It's usually it comes out semi-solid with the
other stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm sure they could, but what would be the problem there? They're not actually passing much significance.
It still has to go through something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
It'll be all right.
Lilypad said, "Is brumation necessary even if she doesn't breed snakes? Are there benefits?"
Yeah, I mean, it's just a natural cycle, but I mean, if you do have, and if they're babies, maybe they get used to that cycle. If I have a female or something that's too close, if I want to get some size on them, a snap brumation, like I could put them in brumation for less time. So if I usually go down in November, or say I go down December 1st, if I think an extra month will let me get that animal up to breeding size for the next year, I might put them down February 1st and then still bring them up in like middle of March or something. So
it just depends on the situation.
It depends on, yeah. But if you want to, some people, right, with their babies out of the egg, they'll put them into brumation.
Why? When you know they're okay?
Because it's just time. It's just how nature worked out. So they think that, if nature's doing that, why not
me do it too?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just seems unnecessary when you're. I mean, I guess if it's not hard, necessary if they're babies, they're not about to.
Right, but it's still going to happen, right? In nature.
Do you think brumating them that early has any connected benefits to later when they are when they are ready to breed? Or
they may be ready to eat, but I mean, some people say like they'll recognize the cycle. I don't think it matters. I think you can brumate them for the first time at 5 years old
when they're ready to go. And
yeah, because I've kept corn snakes that I never tried to breed before, but 10 years later, I finally tried to breed, and then they do exactly what corn snakes are supposed to do.
Because they're just
even though they've never been brumated before. So, I mean, it's whatever. Yeah. Plus, you take the time. Typically, the hotter animals are kept, the faster all the processes happen in animals. So, it could be that your animal actually lives a quicker, life because they haven't been brumated or been kept at a higher temperature. So take like diamond pythons. If you don't drop them down and brumate them, they tend to only live maybe 10 years.
Evan said something
to where they may live double the time if they're
brumated. Evan said that brumating diamond pythons every year. Yeah, that's what I said. He just brought that. Also, Evan's on Instagram or Facebook and YouTube. But he said brumating diamond pythons every year helps with breeding and living longer. So that's like what you just said. Also, my computer's about to die for Facebook, so Facebook's gonna go away in a second. Go to YouTube. But has that been shown in any other thing other than diamond pythons about living longer?
I haven't seen. I mean, I don't know personally. I don't know, because most of the things aren't going to be as variable. So, corn snakes,
they can really handle anything.
Handle anything. So, I think if you keep them at room temperature for their whole life, they may live just as long as doing whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, yours is 14 years, and well, obviously, 14
is pretty average if you're keeping it correctly.
Okay. So Lily Pad also asked what temperature she should lower it to for brumation.
I mean, if you can, go to 55 degrees. But
whoa, that's real low.
But naturally, things aren't always going to be 55 degrees.
Especially if they're in Texas.
Yeah, like when I was in New York, you just put them on a breezy window. Oh, don't brumate a ball python. Sorry, I was talking about... we were talking about corn snakes. So that has to do with like what part of the world you're on. So pythons are going to be in Africa, which is never going to have a winter. It's always going to be a pretty constant degree, like a constant temperature.
Constant hot.
Constant. You keep them at 88 degrees or 86 degrees, whatever the hell you keep them at.
Okay, so it's never needed to...
Not applicable to most python species besides, like we were saying, diamond pythons, which are going to be the most southern occurring python in Australia, which means the coldest python.
They get the coldest.
That whole fucking...
Are majority of pythons in from Africa?
I didn't do the math. They're from all...
Okay.
Australia has many.
Has a lot too. Okay, but
yeah.
But the ball pythons are typically in hot climates.
I'm just saying ball pythons.
Okay.
And then if you had a Burmese python, that the Southeast Asia retic, none of those experience high fluctuations from season to season. Ball pythons, you're going to have minor fluctuations, which are going to trigger them to breed. So you may put your hotspot from 88 to 85 at night. I don't remember the exact numbers, so take that with a grain of salt.
So there's less getting ready a ball python to breed than, say, corn snakes?
For me, I always kept the same hotspot.
Okay.
So I wouldn't change and adjust
the probe
the temperature for when the ambient went down lower in the winter.
Okay.
So in the winter, my ambient in my room may have got down to 78 instead of where it was at maybe 82 in the summer.
Okay.
So that alone was
enough.
Triggering the ball pythons.
It was enough to
That's
change.
all it takes, and they'll...
Okay.
That's not scientific way to mathematically fucking get
them ready.
Ball python clutches all at the same time, all 100%. Worked for me 100%, but I'm not saying that it's going to work.
But that's you were also in New York where it got, cooler.
Yeah, but I mean, you can even apply that to Texas, but it's just going to be a shorter photo period. I mean, I want that to happen in October. So I guess that was a perfect situation to where it started to cool down in October and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That worked.
It just kind of worked out for you.
Yeah. So it's wherever you live. You kind of gotta ask people around where you live because everyone does it a little bit different.
So because you don't have to do as much like prep work, I guess, for ball pythons, are they more likely to breed or have successful clutches because you don't have to do as much, or no?
No, I think colubrids are really easy to time out. So it's easy to put colubrids down, put them up, and then say, kind of for sure, like, oh, they're gonna shed here, they're gonna shed here.
Because you put in that work.
Because you're resetting their clock.
You're timing it. You put them here, right?
Yeah, their body functions are happening.
Because
according to whatever the fuck you're doing.
But
that's same with ball pythons, but it may be more subtle. So you may have a female ovulate at a different time than another. You may have follicles growing at different sizes at different rates
because you're not affecting them.
So what you do is just keep on putting in males, once a week or whatever, and just keep on. You see lockups, and then you keep on, locking them up until they stop locking up, or you see that female definitely ovulate, or you have a, what the hell do you call that? Mammogram? No, that's the wrong word.
Mammogram is fucking your boob. Sonogram.
Sonogram, yeah.
Sonogram machine. So ball pythons aren't any more likely to produce good clutches than any other type.
They're easy to breed just like corn snakes are. They're both very easy to breed. So I wouldn't say one's harder than the other, but they're going to have different requirements. If you do the requirements for any of them, you're going to get it. Yeah, except, there's obviously species that are a lot harder than that, you don't have 100% dialed in. But Lilypad asked, do snakes have belly buttons?
I'm going to go with no.
Well, we have belly buttons, right? Because of the umbilical cord
there. And there's no
when you have a baby snake, when you have a baby snake in an egg, when it first crawls out of the egg, you're going to see that sometimes the umbilicus is still attached. So especially in ball pythons, I've seen it a lot. To where they may still have like a little fat sac, like a little bit of the yolk hanging off
on
of their
the
stomachs.
outside.
And you can see some snakes, even like my olive python, maybe 2 years old or something. I can still see the slit where the umbilical cord.
Instagram, you're ending. Oh, and it ended. Okay.
So,
well, it had 10 seconds, and then
so I could see a little discoloring like slit to where the umbilical cord was.
So it came
when it was a baby.
Their body?
No, it connected their body to give them nutrients from the yolk and the egg.
But right through, like a slit formed in their belly, and it
just
went
like
through
a human.
Right, but our slit is a belly button. It's not.
Right.
Yeah. So okay.
But
okay.
We cut the cord and. Okay.
Gotcha. So, but only on one you can see that.
I mean, you'll see them maybe for the first 6 months or something of their life. Sometimes you can see them pretty much straight through their whole life. You can see there's a little
cool. I've never noticed.
I'll show you.
But I guess when you say slit, it sounds like it's not, in my head, it sounds like it's not supposed to be there. For us, our belly button is supposed to be. Does that make sense? Like it sounds like, I don't know how to explain it.
Because you're not a snake.
I'm not a snake. Okay.
Yeah, your belly button's supposed to be there.
So what about for a live, what about for a live bearing?
I think it's the same idea because they're essentially being incubated in the body.
But how does that work? Because a bunch come out at the same, like
they come out in embryonic sacs. Like you ever see when you see the like blue tongues come out? Sometimes
there's all the stuff
still in
around
the sacs,
them.
and
so
they'll still need to kind of break out of a sac that they're
okay, and so the embryonic fluid's inside the sac. Gotcha. Ew.
I'm not 100% sure on how that embryo or the umbilical cord works, but I think
with live bearing similar.
Thing. Yeah,
that's very.
I don't know for sure.
That's a good question. I never thought about that. Why they're random?
So like they don't have belly buttons, but, they have what serves the same exact function.
The same purpose to get those nutrients when they are. Gotcha. What? Random question. Yeah. Do you just throw the eggs away when they hatch? What do you do with them? Just don't. I mean,
yeah, put them on exhibit at the Smithsonian. I don't know. What would you do with them?
Would you feed it to your to your king snake? Would that be
calcium.
Weird after it's out? After there's nothing in there.
No It's like you eating eggshells.
Yeah,
you could.
You could.
Why the fuck would you do that?
I don't know. So I don't know. Just throwing them away seems weird to me. I don't know why it seems like you shouldn't throw it away. I feel like I don't know. What are you gonna do with the infertile eggs that the corn snake just had? You want to feed those so that because they're the.
I just did that once to see if it would happen.
Okay, but you're just gonna see. Yeah. It feels weird to throw them away. I don't know. Okay, sorry. She said, "Is there a transparent scale that covers a snake's eyes? If there is, how about scaleless snakes?" We talked about that. So I can do the ocular. So when they're shedding, if you notice, I've seen it. When you see the shedding comes off, you can see the eye part,
in there,
right? You can see it. So yes, they do have one, and it can get stuck. And if it gets stuck, use tweezers. That seems very dangerous. You could easily.
But it's not a human eyeball. It's protected by a scale.
What?
So it's not like poking you in the eye. Because they have a scale under it. So even when you're taking one off,
when you're taking this piece of shed, there's still something under there.
I mean, I'm not saying poke it in their eye, but I'm saying
but even ones that close,
you still want to be careful.
The ones that their eye can close, they still have.
That's a fucking lizard, son. And they don't shed the same. And they don't have ocular scales. That's why they have eyelids.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
So all the snakes that blink are called lizards.
Shut up. I got confused for a second. Okay. So yes, there is a scale.
And I don't know why, but scaleless snakes always have ocular scales.
How can you see it? I don't see it on your. How can you can see the scale on the eye?
No, not up front. I mean, I don't know what you mean.
I know when you shed, you can.
Yeah, it's obviously see-through, so you can't really like.
Oh, you're confusing me. But when you said when you peel the shed, like if you were peeling this stuck, you said there's still one under it.
Right. because the whole rest of the snake shed, correct? So there's another
so it has already
layer
come through,
under,
and that's just okay. And so scaleless, when they shed, that you can still see the ocular shed in theirs.
Yeah, so they'll still shed skin. I'm not sure. I don't have scaleless snakes, so I don't know exactly.
Yeah, how does their shed look? I never thought about that.
I'm pretty sure it just looks like shed, but there's no ridges to where scales would be.
I gotta look at that. I can't imagine. So it doesn't have like raised
Honestly,
texture.
I mean,
it's just like flat and smooth.
I could imagine. I'm not sure though. I'm not sure.
Oh, I want to know now.
We don't have any scaleless.
We will hopefully
weirdos.
have some scaleless when we have money for scaleless. But Lily Pad's coming out with such good questions, ones I've never thought of.
What other
question about? Yeah, no, I don't know.
What?
I thought I had a question, but I don't.
No, ask me.
I don't. I don't have it.
About ocular scales?
I don't know. I gotta think about it. Why are some eyes have a like one vertical thing and one have the pupil?
So I think what you're trying to say in in English is, why does some have vertical pupils and why does some have round pupils like we do?
But some I can't see the pupil.
Well, you're just not looking hard enough.
Like when they're red, I feel like I can't see it. It just looks like one big red thing. I feel like I can't see the pupil. If you look closely, there's
two different shades usually.
But they're both red?
So like on an albino, a lot of times they may have red eyes to where it's usually like a red and a pink. So
it's very hard to discriminate the difference. The between the what's iris? Yeah. Is that what's around it?
I don't know. And which one's the pupil.
The pupil's the black dot.
Yeah. Then
the iris is what's around it. Okay. So their iris for albinos, the iris is usually red and the pupil's pink. Is what you're saying?
I would have to. It depends on species of snake and which snake, but I don't know off the top of my head which one's which. But it's just two shades of a pinkish red.
And are those always round pupils, not vertical?
God. Well, no, that just depends on species.
Okay, I feel like okay. So you can answer the question I didn't ask. Why are some vertical and some round?
The vertical ones, so it's a lot more acute, to let smaller amounts of light.
Do your eye.
I've been looking at you this whole time.
Yeah, I know. You did something in your eye. Do it towards the camera.
So it's vertical. The vertical slits let in a lot less light, which is obviously if you're
like cats.
Yeah. And then it's because they're nocturnal.
The ones who have vertical are nocturnal?
Right, because they're more efficient at getting light into their eye.
But your jungle, his is vertical. He's awake in the daytime.
No, but they're mostly nocturnal. They're more diurnal, but corn snakes are diurnal, and that's why they have round pupils.
I see your jungle moving all the time in the daytime.
I mean, you move sometimes at night.
No, but like real move, not just moving in your sleep.
Well, anyway, that's why that happens. I don't know, man. Doesn't mean that they don't move ever during the day. Plus, it's usually all dark where they are.
What?
It's not ever light in the closet.
True. So they think it's. I don't know.
No, but they just move around, man, whenever they want. So, how do snakes breathe with their mouth closed? Isn't there a windpipe inside? Which is true, but there's always
What are those for breathing?
Those are heat pits. Wow, really?
Okay.
So the holes on the side of like a python's mouth are going to be heat sensing pits, but
gotcha. Couldn't you technically? But if they're holes, they could still breathe through them.
Most snakes do have nostrils.
Okay.
Yes. And also their mouth is never closed.
What?
They have that rostral scale in the front to where their tongue comes out.
So it's always just like a little small opening right there.
But I don't think they're mouth breathers. I don't know.
They breathe through and they all have little nostrils?
I think.
I feel like some you can see. Like I feel like on your jungle you can kind of see you can kind of see it, but on some other ones, I feel like you can't really like just look. You know, you can't really see the nostril.
Yeah, they pretty much all have nostrils. I believe they probably all do.
She's getting you on questions now. You're not even
Well,
sure.
no, I'm pretty sure about that. I just feel stupid saying for sure because I'm like 100% sure, but I don't want to say I am because it may be stupid.
We'll check all of ours and see. I don't know. Clearly.
No, they do have nostrils.
So wait, but what does the windpipe have to do with it?
Well, like when they eat, the way that they breathe is they have their what the hell do you call it?
I don't know.
So essentially their windpipe, when because their whole mouth is full, you'll see it poking out. Because
where?
Out of the front of their mouth or the side of their mouth.
But it's covered with the whole animal.
With the animal in there.
How does it stick out when the animal's covering the whole mouth? I believe
the entrance to that is the glottis. But I don't want to be, again, stupid because I used to know that. I just can't think right now. So the glottis comes out, and I mean, it's much easier if I show you a picture of what it looks like. I just feel like my brain's like not working.
I think this would be a good video about.
I have a video about it.
Oh, about snake breathing?
Like how do snakes eat?
Oh,
yeah. When I made shitty videos about how snakes do whatever
stuff back in the day.
Yeah. So there is one about that. That's why I'm saying like I should know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but that video is years old. You could do a new one.
I could do a new one, better one.
And about eyes, or just do a little snake anatomy thing and go from the top of the head and work your way down. I think that'd be a great video.
Okay.
I
have to like actually read. That's why it's like I feel stupid just saying things because I want to like do proper research before acting like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, Lilypad, be on the lookout for a video about this stuff.
Ocular scales.
After he reads some more books.
I have all the research.
No, you have them. You just gotta refresh your memory.
Yeah.
Okay. Done's out for today.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know why I'm like my brain's not operating that fast, man.
I don't know. That was a good day.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will see you next Tuesday.
Back to normal.
At 6 Central Standard Time.
Yes.
Later. Thanks.
Bye.